As Christians, we are called to worship God, but a lot of times we can get tempted into worshiping things that are lesser. Today I want to talk about worry and how worry leads us into false belief. On the most recent episode of the Altered Call podcast, we discussed taking control of your mind. And if you struggle in that area, I cannot recommend that episode more. I go into detail in my story and how I went from suffering with anxiety with regularity to now having a mind that is clear and able to worship God fully. So that's in the link in the description below. If you struggle in that area, please listen to it and please do what it says. Now, what we're going to do here is I'm going to discuss specifically worry. If you want to extrapolate this into other things like fear, anxiety, regret, all of those largely hold true. They all follow the same example. So, I want to talk about worry and how it leads to self-worship instead of the worship of God. A lot of times, when we worry, we are projecting our situation into the future. We're saying, I understand what's coming down the line. I know whether it's good or bad. I know how it's going to impact my life, and I know what I want to do about that. Here's the problem. You don't know. God knows. God is the one who gets to know what is coming in your future, whether it is good or bad. That's not information that you have. So in saying, I'm going to worry about this thing, you're saying two things. One, that God will not provide for you in the ways that he claims that he will. Or that two, you can handle it without God. You can see it coming, you can understand it, and you can interact with it all in a way that's going to be better on your own than if God were participating in the exchange. Now, if you are an atheist, if you are a non-believer, you don't get a choice here. You are in fact on your own. You have to go into the future under your own power. You have to say, whatever's coming my way is something that I alone have to deal with. As believers, we don't have to believe that. We get to say, yes, I can bring to bear what my skills and talents will allow for me here, but also God. And ending the conversation in that way makes a difference. Because maybe you're not particularly capable. Maybe you need an awful lot of help. Great. God. He gets to fill that void. Maybe you are particularly capable. Okay. Are you better on your own or with God standing beside you? Okay. What specifically are we worried about then? We're either worried that he won't show up or that he won't be enough. And as Christians, both of those beliefs make no sense. On the other side of things, it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense to be scared if you have to progress into the future under your own power, if you have to see everything coming, if you have to interact with it under your own strength. But we don't have to. We just don't have to. So how do we deal with worry in a helpful way? It's not that it won't happen. I recently had a big change in my life, and it took me 2 or 3 days of what I would call worry to figure it out. But what did I do? I said, God, there's a big change in my life. I don't yet understand it. I don't know. But instead of saying, God, I don't think you're going to show up, it's more, I don't know what my responsibility is here yet. Okay? I know that I have to play a part in this, that I have to bring to bear what I'm willing to bring to bear. And I just don't understand that yet. So it was a big change. I said, God, I need to figure this out. And for a couple of days I spiraled, and it wasn't great. But then I said, okay, God, here's what I'm willing to do. Here's how I'm going to progress into the future in light of new information. And here's what I simultaneously expect from you. Either I expect my plan to work, and for that to be great. Or I expect you to step in and just handle it. I expect you to avoid the situation entirely, or I expect you to teach me a new way to interact with this. So either airlift me out of it and do whatever you're going to do, teach me something better, or just allow my plan to work. But I don't need to worry about it beyond that. All I have to do is decide what I'm going to do and then aggressively off-put the responsibility for anything else onto God and be in communication with him. Because if I say, here's what I'm going to do, I'm not doing anything else, God, you take the rest, I have to be willing for him to say, no, actually, you need to step it up a little bit. So I need to be in communication with him. What's interesting is worry blocks communication with him. One of the things that you need for proper worship is the ability to hear God speak. And in order to hear God speak, you need to be in a quiet environment. You need to be in a place that is both environmentally calm and in a place where your mind is calm simultaneously. God does not scream at you. He can, it's happened, but most of the time it's the still, quiet voice. And if you aren't listening, you won't hear it. And the number one way that the enemy drowns out God's voice is with our own thoughts. If you cannot control your thoughts, you cannot hear God. I work with so many Christian men that say, I just wish God would tell me what to do. I would absolutely do it. Okay. Have you tried to shut up and listen? It's not easy. We don't want to do it. Our society does not reward being calm and patient. We reward getting after it, doing what you're going to do, doing things in your own power to your own detriment. If you want to live a life where you worship yourself, the results that you get will be the results that you're able to generate. And that's fine if you're okay with that. That is not the power that is offered to Christians. Instead, we are told that we get us and God. That is an amazing thing. If you turn to God, you rely on him, and you give him the time and capacity to work, he will add to anything that you are doing. But we need to be still. We need to be calm. And that's just not something that we're willing to do, because we would rather do it fast. We would rather do it under our own power, and we would rather forsake God in the process. So stop worshiping something lesser and start worshiping God. Give him power in your life. Give him authority in your life, and let him work. Be calm. Be responsive, and listen to what he tells you. We're going to go into this in a lot more detail next week. Next week is an episode that I've been waiting for a very long time. We're going to be talking about Ecclesiastes. Now, this is insane, but it is absolutely my favorite book in the Bible. It is the most practical book in the entire Bible. I will not accept any arguments, because it tells you what to do. It doesn't just diagnose the problem, which it also does remarkably well, but it tells you what to do about it in very practical terms. So next week, we're going to go through Ecclesiastes. I'm going to try and take as much of my thoughts out of it as possible so that we can get a clean understanding of what the book is trying to say. And then probably in this video, I will extrapolate a little, insert a couple of my thoughts. But one of the main takeaways is going to be, you are not enough without God. So get used to that idea now, all right? Hey, thanks for watching. Put your phone down, go live some life.